And action. So welcome everybody. Today we have another episode from Belarus and California. So we have Aphrodite from California, and thank you so much for allowing me to have this podcast on Zoom. Please introduce yourself and say whatever you want to say about yourself, what people would like to know about you besides, California.
Sure. Thank you, Alexander, for having me. I'm Aphrodite Rose Starfire. I have my own YouTube channel called Aphrodite Rose Starfire, and I started posting around the end of 2017 when I started my awakening. And the goal of my channel is kind of just to help people wake up and see their reality around them. I post a lot of different types of content, like clips of where kind of show like hidden messages to like just personal stories, and yeah. So I invite people to please subscribe to my channel. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So awakening is such an interesting process. It's in layers. Like you and I probably understand that we did not just understand that almost everything is a lie around us. It was kind of in stages that we're like, wait a minute, what is going on? Like, this is not supposed to be happening. Why is this happening? Right. So what was the most bizarre things that really pushed you into like research and like what is this reality, where we come from, why we don't remember anything that happened to us before our birth, and why is this people acting so weird, and the system is set up like everything is compartmentalized, everything in the compartment, and you are allowed to walk into certain doors, but you're not allowed to walk into other doors and to know what's going on behind those doors. So what are the few things that you can share with us that really bugged you and you're like, oh my God, what is going on?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I think for most people that are awake or living souls, or however you want to say, you kind of always knew that you're a little bit different than other people. And like, I guess more empathetic or aware than others. But the biggest thing that started to make me question the nature of my reality it's pretty timely, but it was the death of my brother. Oh, and my brother had muscular dystrophy, so he was in a wheelchair, and so we knew he was going to pass like early. And so it was the end of 2012. And I already knew, like, the Mayan calendar, and there was like some celestial things happening too. I think alignments happening. I think it was like December 21st or something like that. And so I was aware of that stuff, and I was kind of anticipating something to happen. But I really I never really gone onto YouTube. I was like watched CNN, like totally in the matrix job. Like, I was married. I owned a house. Like,
are you not married and you don't own the house anymore? Are you still married?
No, now I'm divorced.
Okay. Do you still have a house?
And I don't own a house anymore.
You don't live in a car, do you?
Close. No, I live in an apartment right now.
Okay.
I live in an apartment right now, but I'm actually kind of surfing the rent moratorium because they in California they allowed you not to pay rent and not be evicted for the pandemic.
Oh wow, interesting. Is
it true that California, kind of writing that right now?
Is it true that in California there is a free education if you are a resident for like 10 years or something? That it's a free education? No. Oh, okay. Somebody told me.
No, no, it's not free. It's discounted. So I went to state universities.
Okay.
And so that I graduated UC University of California, San Diego in 2006. And for each year, my state rate was like, I think like $6,000 tuition a year. And that
Okay.
was in 2005, 2006.
Wow.
So it's not free.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so to get back on my brother, he ended up dying New Year's Eve
Wow.
as the ball was dropping.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, so it was like we took him, he had an issue with his gallbladder, and it was kind of like if he had surgery, he wouldn't have been able to have the strength to breathe on his own when they woke him up, because he didn't have the lung strength. So he made his own decision. He was 27 years old. He made his own decision to go home on hospice and go home to die, basically.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was New Year's Eve, and I, went over there to my mom's house to be with them, and we kind of took shifts, watching him. And it was my turn, and I was like watching the ball drop, and I just knew like he had died.
You felt it. Wow.
I felt it. I like knew that there was going to be this coincidence.
Wow.
I knew it was going to be like this, like he was going to go out with a bang. Like he was like, gosh, Matt, like you had to like die as like the ball is dropping on the end of the world,
Wow.
2012. So I walked into the room and he had died. So it was like the last seconds of, the end of the Mayan calendar,
Yeah.
So that was when I knew something was different.
Right. Do you think, like right now, like I'm thinking the ball is dropping in New York City, like the symbol, because it's a silver ball. Do you think it's a representation of the moon that is taking our energy, the loosh, which is the life force of every one of us? And at that time, it was kind of like your brother is been taken. So maybe in a good way, not to suffer, he was in a wheelchair. It's not a full blown life. So it was taken at the very unique time, like, wow, New Year's Eve. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. And it's almost like too, like I've thought, were we uploaded into a simulation at that point? Because after that, I had my divorce, and then started kind of a single life again. And it was in 2016 that I started seeing the numbers, the repeating numbers, like the 1111s, my birthday, 1218, 444, 333, that kind of stuff. And it was like every time I looked at the clock. And then that's when I started also noticing people changing and Mandela effects and that kind of thing.
Interesting.
But yeah, like I've thought about it, like were we uploaded in a simulation, and like was my brother like the last person to die and not be uploaded? Or maybe he was able to be reincarnated one last time, and nobody born after 2012 is really like a living soul. Like I've thought of all these things, because it does seem, I don't know for you if 2012 was like any kind of,
I can resonate with you, because in that year,
mental year.
Yeah, 2012, that was a traumatic experience for myself. I lost a job, and I was like I never had panic attack in my life. So it's like money issue. It's a huge stuff on earth. So a lot of people in 2012 around that time had some kind of traumatic experience that kind of shook them. And right now what we experiencing, it's a much bigger traumatic experience, which is kind of like a steady ongoing, because when you see people in the mask, you always think something's wrong. There's something's wrong here. It's, people are supposed to breathe oxygen and not be afraid of breathing oxygen. And right now there's something's wrong. Every day you are in the trauma. So I think in a good way, shakes many people up who is not been awake. They are questioning the reality. What is going on? Where are we? Why are we suffering? Like, can we have a better life on Earth? Who is ruling this planet? Like, recently, I had this idea, and I want to pick your brain. Maybe you can think I'm crazy, but I have this feeling that the people who rule this Earth for many, many thousands of years, they have such a huge advanced technology that it's almost impossible to beat them at this game. Like, they already, calculated almost to the T, like perfectly, how to keep us, constantly under pressure, blocked, sedated, seduced, perverted, drained, abused, you name it. Like, I have a feeling that it's almost impossible, like, again, almost impossible. So it's probably one of the best games on Earth. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't really see myself as like competing against like the elites or whoever's controlling this. I see it more like as like a farm, and or like a garden,
Right.
and where the roses or the flowers, right? Or like the opium poppies.
Mm-hmm.
And to get the poppy to secrete its drug, the opium, you have to give it trauma. You have to cut it. So that's what
Right.
you see all the guys in Afghanistan. They're taking that knife and slitting the poppy pod, and then it bleeds the milk,
Right.
the white, and that's the drug that you make the opiates with.
Interesting.
And so that's us. And so they're milking us and like pressing us like glands and scarring us and cutting us so
Right.
that we release these drugs that they sniff up or get high off, like the loosh.
Right.
Or like we like release this like powder, and they use us like perfumes, like if they want to experience like, you know, a certain type of sadness, they'll poke this person. If they want to feel a certain type of joy, they'll poke this person in a certain way, or
Oh,
they want to
wow.
feel a certain type of pain. Because I think like the people that are farming us, or the entities that are farming us, like we're the entertainment, like we're the show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And in some way they like enter into our heads and are kind of like in a movie theater in our brain, and like looking out through our eyes, and like our life is the movie, and then they can kind of operate us depending on how porous our auric field is, or like, or how many what kind of substances we use.
Right. Interesting.
So
What you just said
yeah.
What you just said reminded me of the movie Fountain. Have you seen the movie Fountain?
With Hugh Jackman.
Yes. Where he comes to the tree
Yes.
and he puts the knife
Yeah,
into
I
the
actually
tree.
did a YouTube video.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So yeah, he puts the knife into the tree and the milk comes out of it. And then once he starts indulging it and he loves it, he becomes part of Earth. He becomes, reincarnated again and again and again, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
And then the other movie, Perfume, like when you were saying about perfume, I was like, well, that's an interesting concept, because they also had the movie in Hollywood, Perfume, where he controls the population with the smell.
Yeah. The YouTube video I did about the fountain is I actually included that scene that you speak of, where he's digging into the tree and then he like gets greedy.
Yeah.
And I think the hidden message of that movie is the tentacle being, which is the celestial sun, like I think it's Mithras or Apollo, the sun god, or Medusa, like they're the Hydra, the octopus, anything with tentacles, like Kraken. it's like the being that operates this realm. And in the movie The Fountain, the tree is the same tentacle being, and
Right.
it uses the image of his dead wife, which is Izzy, which is like lizard reptilian, and she has the curly hair, which is the tentacles, and
Mm,
she has like a dress that looks like the tree. Like the tree and the tentacles are all one and the same. Like a and then Hugh Jackman's character, he's like starting to ascend, and his like vesicle is like being released from the tree, but he like makes the choice by making the covenant with the ring to be back with the tentacle being.
right.
And like,
He
and that's like
promises
when,
he promises the his wife, or the queen, he promises her to retrieve the immortality tool, or immortality for her, I guess, or for both
right,
of them. And he goes on this journey to find it.
right. But it's like what I think is like there's this being that looks like a sun with tent like or like branches.
Mhm.
It keeps us here with images of our loved ones. Like it's like a mother matrix that doesn't want its baby to leave the nest. So it's going to, when you die, it's going to be at the end of the tunnel. Like your loved ones will be at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Jesus will be at the end of the tunnel.
Or whatever
Whoever
you
you love
love, whatever you
most,
care.
yeah, so that you will choose to be with it. Whereas there's another choice, like going into the light, where there's another choice where you could choose to like sink into the abyss, or
Go the
like,
other way. Yeah.
right. And that's the harvesting soul recycling system, is going into this celestial sun, the light, when you
Mhm.
die or when whatever happens.
Interesting, because we have a moon and a sun. Sun is kind of like a very warm and hot, and moon is kind of cold, and it's night and darkness. So I have a feeling, again, I cannot prove it, but the moon, when you die, it kind of comes into your face and lures you in with the energy of love. Come to me. It's a silver, and it's almost like a closer, because it's when you have a sun and a moon together, the moon is in front. It gives you a total eclipse. So I think, there's a moon
Mhm.
path, the sun path, and there's a direct path to God, I guess, which is everything. So most people choose the
Yeah.
moon because it's the closest one. It's a silver, and it's like in the movie I, Robot. Do you remember the Vicky silver figure in a ball, looks like a moon silver ball, and she's running down the hallway screaming at everybody, my logic is undeniable, my logic is undeniable, you're supposed to be coming to me, and you're supposed to allow me to control you. What do you think of that, the moon and the sun, the difference between?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I think the sun is what is going to be in our viewpoint, like a like Jesus, the son, like son of God. Like I think that's what's going to be tempting us. I The moon is kind of tricky for me because I just like have no connection to it, and I never really have.
Right.
Like I don't have like a feeling for it. Like I don't um I remember as a kid, like looking up, like staring at it and feeling like it was watching me. And
Mm.
like it was like a creepy dude, like what, like a peeping Tom or something. Like, um,
Interesting.
yeah. So I mean, it's never like I've had that like, wait, you know, you're told as like female you're supposed to have this kind of witchy connection, go out in the moonlight and be a woman, and I've never felt that way about the moon. I do have more of a connection with the sun. I like being in the sun.
Yeah.
um and I kind of attribute that maybe it's because I'm Aphrodite, and Aphrodite is more of a goddess that's tied with the sun, and there's all the other Greek goddesses are tied with the moon.
Right.
I don't know, but and it does feel like there's different suns and moons for different places on the earth. Have you
It's,
done any traveling at all?
it is possible. That's why I was contemplating. Is it possible there is many moons that are walking around? Like, I've heard that China is having some kind of plan to build their own moon above China. So it's almost like a satellite. It's like a 5G smart grid system that it's connected to AI on Earth. It's possible. It's like a flying satellite, and there are
It
many.
might, yeah, like, or a magnet, like, because it does have an influence on, the water.
Oh, that's what they say. We don't know exactly, but that's what they say. It influences water. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know.
very interesting.
Um,
Yeah, they don't
yeah.
want to tell us these stories in the college, school, which is for fish. They don't want to tell us the truth in any kind of college books. But in movies, sometimes in movies, they do drop certain truth, which is so interesting to observe. Like, oh my God, they're dropping this bomb truth in the movies. But do you have a TV? Do you watch TV? Because I don't have a TV.
Yeah, I don't have a TV. I got rid of my TV when uh I so when my awakening happens, I had like my dream job offer that I
Oh,
had been
wow.
working for my whole life. So I'd gone to medical school and become what's called a physician assistant here in America, but it's like I can do everything a doctor can do. I just didn't have to go to school as long,
Okay.
but I can do surgery, I can see patients on my own, I can prescribe medications. And I can work in any specialty I want, so I can switch around and do
Wow.
different types of medicine. But so I had done a bunch of different jobs, and I had landed my dream job uh, in the place I wanted to, in the San Francisco Bay Area, doing it was a job offer for cardiothoracic surgery, so like heart and lung surgery, and going to make like $180,000 a year.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was just blowing off the phone calls. Like, they were calling me like, come, when are you gonna come in, like, and I just wasn't answering the phone. I was just like blowing them off, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, and there was this voice telling me, just like, go to sell everything, you're Aphrodite, go to live on the beach, go to San Diego, go live on the ocean, and just do nothing. And
Wow.
that's what I did. Yeah, so I like sold most everything, and I got a super expensive crappy shack apartment right on the beach in San Diego, and like remembered being Aphrodite and just like stopped working. But that's when
Wow.
I sold my TV in that move. I had like a 60-inch
Huge.
3D
Right.
giant like black mirror TV.
Wow.
And I used to watch CNN on it, like, and I'd watch it really close.
Oh,
Ugh, yeah, but I got rid of that like in
good for you.
2007, 16. Yeah, but I watch a lot of stuff on my phone though. I watch a lot of YouTube.
Right.
Um,
Well, today I don't have a cell phone myself, but today my mother was um, kind of forcing me to communicate with our old friend in Lithuania. So we had another long conversation, like 15 minutes. And just by sitting in front of that small device, I told my mother afterwards, like, I felt this energy was just sucking me dry. Like, I felt the cell phone was taking my auric field. Like, I don't feel good after this conference. And although I like this lady, I used to go to help her to pick the strawberries in the summertime. So I remember the lady, I love her. but just after the cell phone interaction, because you don't see actual people, like right now, you and I, if we had a real conversation, it would be so much more pleasant. You can
Yeah.
experience your life conversation, but right now we're using this device and it's not good for us. It's taking us dry, it's loosening us, it's milking us as energetically, so
Yeah.
your story. So do
I
you
feel like
think,
it's like part of, yeah.
so do you
Go ahead.
think those thoughts for you to sell everything and go live by the beach, do you think it's your authentic thoughts, or do you think you were under mind control manipulation? Because that's also very possible.
Yeah. No, I think it's the amnesia wearing off. I do think I have been under heavy mind control my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my dad was in the military, and his father was a high up Freemason, and kind of helped set up the Freemasons in Orange County, California, like Disneyland and all that.
Wow.
So, like, my family was chosen. And then I feel like genetic experiments were performed on my family, like my brother with the muscular dystrophy that he had. And I think that I got something else, maybe like like an X-Men kind of thing. Like, let's put something in this one, let's put something in this one and see what happens. Kind of like maybe one will go bad and maybe one will flourish.
Wow.
But I know, like, my mom gave me fluoride pills when I was a baby because the doctor told her it'd make my teeth strong. Yeah,
Oh
so
my
it's like, where did these, like, did you go to a pharmacy and get like did the doctor just hand you, like, where did these pills come from?
Wow. So do you think right
Yeah,
now,
so like,
you're cleansing and purifying your pineal gland? Do you think it's starting to operate a little bit, or it's still way to go?
well, I know I'm not like at my optimal potential. But to answer your question, the voice I hear is myself outside of time. And some people call it their higher self. Most people call it Holy Spirit. Some people like call it straight Jesus talking to me, or God is talking to me. Like, I feel like my voice outside of time is God. Like, people don't like to hear you say like, oh, I'm God, but excuse me. But I feel like that this has already happened before. And that's why we experience deja vu a lot. Like, we've quantumly have experienced this scenario. We've had this discussion before, like, and like, this is the last time that we're running through it. And I got a coach, that's telling me all the play-by-plays, if you want to call it Holy Spirit, but it's me. It's just me outside of time. And I've always had that connection with that, even as I was a child. But it's mostly through the mirror, like thinking about, like, looking yourself in the eyes and talking to yourself in your head.
Interesting. Yeah, it's very new to me because I never experienced it.
But what was the question you just asked me?
Yeah, I forgot myself, but that's interesting because I never experienced anything like you were saying now. So that's so cool. I did experience in New Jersey voice to skull technology. I had this student, she was a Black lady, and she actually spoke in my head clearly. This is Alexander Nairanovski. And then it went off. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it was kind of, I don't think they make mistakes. She was just telling me, or she made a mistake in purpose so I could be aware that somebody is speaking in your head, that not all your thoughts are yours. So it was very bizarre to me. It's like, holy shit, I know this is the voice of my student, how she's speaking inside my head. It was clear. It was so clear inside my head. So I know it was a voice to skull technology, but I don't have in my life, if I do have thoughts, sometimes I ask myself, is this my thought, or maybe it's an implantation from military or whatever, whoever wants to mess with me. So I'm very careful lately with what I think. I was like, is this my thought? Really?
Yeah. Well, I know what you're saying. I think a good way to decipher who's who is your Holy Spirit, future self, higher self will push you to do things that are uncomfortable and that are like hard to do. Like if you want to post, like say you like have been thinking about posting a YouTube video about like talking about something traumatic that happened to you, and you've been thinking about it and you're like, I don't know if I want to share that, nobody cares, blah blah. And then there's a voice like, no, but just put it out there, like if you talk about it, it might help somebody. And then say you think about it and you finally do it, and then you're about to post it, and there's that voice that says, it's so stupid, like nobody wants to hear it, like you look like an idiot, like you look like a little baby. Those are the two voices. Like the one that's telling you the doubt is the implant, the mind control, and the one that's pushing you to work through the trauma is your higher self. Right.
So interesting. Yeah, I've met some other people who experience this manipulation with doubt, fear tactics, or sometimes we get rewarded with pleasure or pain within our head. Like recently I've listened to this I think 1920s Huxley. He was recording interesting conversation before he died, and he's saying about the mice. They were experimenting with mice and they found the pleasure part in the brain. So they put the button in the cage. If you push that button, you get a pleasure. So the mouse was pushing that button like thousands of times a day to experience the pleasure. So then they went to the point in the middle, somewhere between the pleasure and pain. So it's kind of a mixture of pleasure and pain. So the mouse will get to the button and she will hesitate and she will like, should I stay or should I go? Like this kind of motion, but she will still press it. Eventually she still presses because she wants to experience this, whatever it is, pleasure, pain, mixture, but a lot less. In the daytime, it will be a lot less. So we are driven by pleasure and pain. And right now, I want to ask you this very interesting question. When did you start? I'm not sure if you are figuring it out yet, but if you did, have you felt that sexual energy has been manipulated on Earth, like big time?
Yes.
When was your awakening to that? Like, when did you start to question, like, what is going on with sexuality and sexual energy, and what is going on?
Well, I mean, that's a big question. I like the whole trans thing, the manipulation of genders. I didn't really get onto that until even like after my initial awakening. That was like kind of like you said, one of the layers, and that was even after like flat Earth, like the looking at celebrities and looking at Jennifer Lopez, and I'm like, that's a woman. Like Kim Kardashian, that's a woman. Like, come on. And then you look harder and you watch more videos, and you're like, what? Rihanna? What? Madonna? Who?
Celine Dion. By the way, there's only one channel I can recommend to people: Mag Bitter Truth.
Awesome.
Bitter Truth. He actually, he exposed so many of them, and I'm like, at the same time, I tell people, don't be hateful, because these people are product of trauma abuse. So be compassionate, don't hate them. I think they've been abused
Yeah.
since childhood by their parents or the system that they're born into. So they're innocent victims, and once the
Well, that's not totally like, because there's like the people that are willingly trying to deceive you, and I
true,
don't think that's okay,
true, yeah.
you know. And like, even the greater layer is the truth movement, how much infiltration of, I mean, I agree with not judging people, but I think that I don't like people that are wearing so much mask. Like be upfront with who you are. Like, if you're trying to deceive me up front, like if you're already presenting yourself as something that you're not, then I already know that the rest of what you're presenting to me is probably going to have deceit in it too. Like, and there's a lot of people that are in the truth movement that are different genders or ancestral androgynous people, and I don't know if that's a spiritual but it seems like people have been inserted into different genres in kind of the truther awakening movement, and they steer the conversation, and I don't know quite yet why, like what the end goal is. I don't know if you've noticed that at all,
Oh yeah.
but
There's so many good people trying to record good videos, but like I always say, like I do not even trust myself. Like I'm open book, if I question everybody else, I also question myself. I don't know if all my thoughts are mine. Are they implants? And recently with the food changes, I think the food is so interesting how it influences our behavior, the mood, the vitality of the body. Like you probably have heard about the term weaponized food. I think right now there is so much weaponized food that we cannot trust. Like it's almost like Alice in Wonderland. Remember, eat me and she gets bigger. Eat me and you get
yeah.
smaller. So it influences your emotions. I even heard that certain smells and certain foods can change your not only mood, your sexuality. If you eat long enough or smoke something long enough, it can change so much about us. So this reality is so tricky. And recently, when I let go of dairy and flour, gluten, I think it was so much easier for my brain to function. So I became more clear, had more clarity in my own thinking. And I'm at this point, like I know there's still so much more. And part of me
Mm-hmm.
believes that in the future we can get to the high state. The consciousness can be so high that we actually probably not going to need any food. If you evolve into that high being state, you you go limitless. Right now we're so been limited by society, governments, laws, media, bombarding of technologies. So when you start to meditate, you have no thinking, no feelings, you become totally empty. Do you really need food if you don't waste your energy on thinking or emotions? You become clear, pure consciousness.
Yeah. I thought about that too, like the necessity of food. Um, but I I do see something that uh, that I think people should be cautious about, and it does have to do with the mind control of 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 getting people like us wanting to be out of our bodies and in the air, and not in on the earth, and not embodying our flesh.
Right.
And it's like, I think our souls came here to be in the flesh. And there's
Experience it.
this, yeah, to experience the pain and to experience the pleasure. Because we all know if you have too much pleasure, you have to have the bittersweet, right? You have to have the polarity. You have to have the good and the bad, because you wouldn't be able to know bad if you only had good. If nothing ever bad happened to you, you would never know what it was.
Yeah, the polarity
You
is
would
definitely
probably complain.
the polarity here on Earth is definitely probably a fun part. I remember in New Jersey, I had a book and I left it, of course, because when I was moving to Belarus, I had to leave a lot of stuff behind. So in this book, this lady was writing that most of you on Earth do not appreciate the polarity, but us watching you, we actually jealous because it's something that is
Yeah.
very unique to experience disconnection from God, to experience the duality, hot and cold, good and bad, up and down, light and dark. So it's a very unique experience to be in time, but you guys don't appreciate it because you are there. And for you being there,
Right.
It's not easy.
Right. So that's what, like, I would suggest, like, to be more in your body, to do more, like, because there's this push for us to go more on our phones, to go more like into the metaverse, into like Sim City or Grand Theft Auto or some alternate, like into the airwaves, right?
Right.
Into the ether. They want our consciousness out so that something else can come in and
Yeah.
operate us or experience what we really came here for. Like, because if you think about it, in your dreams, you do have a certain, I don't know how you dream, but you don't have the same type of touch. You don't have, like, you can see in your dream, like, I've been able to eat in dreams, but you don't taste anything. It's not like you're like, so,
Feel
like,
emotions
yeah,
in
we
it.
probably could operate without eating anything, but why would you want to? Like, we came here, like it's okay to, like, to experience pleasure, and that's part of experience. Like, yeah,
Right.
if you're going to do something that's pleasurable, something eventually is going to hurt you. That's just the nature of the game, you know. I
It's
don't,
interesting.
it's hard because it's like we have this, like, we have this mentality where we want to forget about the bad things that happen to us, but in actuality the bad things that happen to us is what makes us so special and, unique, and
But at the
maybe
same time,
we wouldn't.
Aphrodite, do you think that our DNA was messed around for a very long time and they call it junk DNA? It's not junk, but it's sleeping. Do you think right now our DNA is coming online and they're trying to stop this process by, let's not say the word, but they put in a needle into your skin, try to stop the DNA awakening process?
um I definitely think we're being hit with a lot of radiation. I don't know how much of that is natural, like with this, plasma turnover event, pole shift stuff, and how much of it is artificial with 1, 2, 3, 4, gee
Right.
whiz.
Yeah.
you know, but whatever it is, there definitely is increase in the amount of radiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing that's happening right now, I don't know yet. I think it's probably, mm, the biggest part of me is saying it's an extermination.
Partially. Yeah. Yeah. But it's also modification. I think they're trying to genetically
Right.
modify us. They're trying to make us obedient. I don't think they want to kill us, but they want to make us so obedient and docile. Because when they go up the nose towards the pineal gland with a swab, they're trying to
Mhm.
pollute the brain, the pineal gland. And I'm not sure if you saw my videos about Kichari Mudra, where you swallow your tongue and move the
Mhm.
tongue towards the pineal gland. That's a very decalcifying and cleansing process. And it's much easier than people think. I know a lot of people like, oh, I don't want to swallow you. But it is a really, really good practice to do it. And what they are trying to achieve is to temporarily block people from awakening inside the brain. Because once you can see with your third eye, nobody can lie to you. You're very intuitive. You see
Right.
right through people. You don't have to even like talk to people. You just come up to them. You see within 1-2 seconds, you know who is who. You know where they vibrate. Are they good? Are they so? Like we all in
Mhm.
between, good and bad, and in between. So you can actually see almost immediately the stages of personalities, where they are, and are they detrimental to your health or they're beneficial to you.
Yeah, I agree. And I heard somewhere that like the ancient Egyptians used to routinely stick sticks up the slave's nose
Mm,
and do a little scratchy scratch,
yeah.
and that would kind of keep the slaves in order, like they would keep them more docile and not wanting to revolt.
Yeah. Yes, because right now
um
a lot of people are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They do what they've been told. Stay home, be in isolation. By the way, here in Belarus, most people have been in isolation before the isolation started. Like no children playing, they stay home on their devices, computers, cell phones. And they don't go outside,
Mhm.
walk barefoot, or do any kind of running, yoga. By the way, do you have any physical practice for your physical body, like daily routine?
um I ride a bike a lot.
Oh, that's
I
good.
don't have like I don't have a routine um that I do something every day the same way.
Okay.
I'm really just kind of go with how I feel. Um some days I just feel like sitting around all day. Um but but I'm pretty active. I have a boyfriend, and
Nice.
we're active together. So I think that's really important too, is to like try to find outlets of love in your life any way
Absolutely.
you can, even if it's like with a pet, like petting an animal or walking a dog. Just like feeling love for another being. Um, but I've always hated going to the gym. I
Right.
used to do a lot of running, but I don't do that anymore.
Right.
It's kind of more just sort of an attitude and feeling what your body needs.
But you are
Uh,
right by the beach, right? You're not too far from the Pacific Ocean? No?
I used to be when I lived down in San Diego, but I'm about a 2.5 hour drive inland from the
Oh,
beach. So
okay.
I'm actually pretty close to the Sierra Nevada mountains, kind of by Yosemite.
Nice.
So more inland than California.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, there's it's the air quality is not too good here because there's a lot of farms, and a lot of they're spraying all this crap all the time. Do they spray in Belarus, the chemtrails?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, we also, it's so interesting. We have, it's my speculation, but there's certain bugs, weed that they created to make the farmer's life almost impossible. Like I came from United States and they call this grass, they call it Americanca, which is like American grass. I was like, why you call it
Uh-huh.
Americanca? Like it's like a Cold War never ended. They make sure that they say, oh, the scientists in America made it and sent this grass weed here, so we have a hard time farming. It's their fault. Same thing with this bug that eats potatoes. They say, oh, it's been made in
Oh,
United States, and they sent it to us, so we suffer. As a, guys, it's our own scientists. I mean, there is only one government, one world government. It's been on for a very long time. It's secretly run in every country. Doesn't matter if you have different languages, and they create chaos and confusion and trauma based on
yeah.
whatever you do, any specific area you pick, music, farming, engineering. They'll make sure that you suffer, and they'll
Yeah.
suck your loosh. They'll milk you like a cow, because suffering is energy, you know. And when I
Well,
read,
it's also too like they want you to sell your soul. Like there's so many, like I don't know if you've gotten to these places in your career where you're kind of met with an opportunity where you're supposed to go against your morals. Like they want
oh
you,
yeah,
your boss wants you to do something and you're just like, wait a minute, like, and then you're
yep,
at this crossroads where do I, stay with my job and do what my boss says, and or do
yeah.
I do what my heart says and stick with my morals and quit or whatever, say no.
They
And
definitely
there's like,
test us, and
yeah,
if you are a piece of shit, you go high above. You get money, position, everything. But if you are, they see it right through you. Yeah, they filter it. Like in the police force, I don't think, if you're a good man, I don't think they're gonna hire you ever into police forces. They just, you're just not needed there.
yeah, it's a lot of a yes man, good old boys club. It's about keeping secrets.
Oh yeah.
And that's like something like I was thinking about too, about these secrets and how secrets are secretions. And so like when you have a secret, it's like a packet of hormones that you keep in, and it's when you release it and when you share your secret that you're able to get like a secretion like into the ether that
Mm.
benefits you in some way. But it can be painful a lot of times when you tell secrets, the people around you don't like it.
Mm. So
But
what
it's
is,
like this secretion.
what is it in your life lately you find that it's most helpful, like most beneficial? Any some kind of protection tactic, like you telling your auric field to close up in certain times, or any kind of tools that you use in your daily life that helps you to be strong and to keep on going in this crazy reality?
Yeah. Well, I switched to distilled water a long time ago.
Good,
I think
nice.
that's really important.
Yeah,
I wouldn't drink any bottled water. Bottled water is pretty bad. Has a lot of fluoride.
yeah,
Um, I recently just bought a water distiller. Because before I was buying the jugs of distilled water at the store.
right,
But I bought it's an automatic water distiller.
nice.
It works really nicely. Um, I got it on Amazon. It's Mega Home water
Okay.
distiller. Um, uh, Things I do a lot. I think it's important that you do a lot of work on your past, and if you have any like unfinished business with your childhood or like regrets, that you try to resolve them. Um, uh, for a while, I wasn't taking a shower every day, but then I started when I had to start working for a while in 2019, 2020. I was working again doing um, cancer care with people with chemotherapy, and and Sorry.
It's all right.
But I found that when I think like having contact with water every day is good.
Yeah.
Like a cleansing. I don't use shampoo,
Okay. What do you
but
use to?
I use conditioner
Okay.
only, but I try to find like the most natural conditioner that I can, like organic,
Right.
without chemicals. I mean, we do the best we can,
Right. Right.
but like you said, like you have to have some kind of technology. You're gonna have to eat some kind of toxic food, like you're gonna
Right.
have to put some kind of toxic soap on yourself. um I think like the best thing to like feel the best about yourself is try not to cover yourself up. Like a lot of women, they like before my awakening, I was wearing hair extensions,
Oh wow.
and it ruined my hair, and I
Hmm.
ended up having to shave my head bald.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of like a big ego death. Um but if you can get away from trying to cover yourself up with makeup and hair and certain clothing, or certain types of shoes or name brands,
Right.
and then I mean we're already seeing that with people covering themselves up with the mask, and here people love it. Like people love being covered up because they feel like they like can be somebody else, and they'll like put on
Oh,
sunglasses, and then they'll have the hood, and it's like they're a total like in a um like a
it's like a
snuggie
hide and
almost.
seek game. It's like a hide and seek
Yeah.
game in some sick way. Yeah. Yeah. People sometimes they want to be hidden. They don't want to be. And it's so interesting because I think we are monitored 24/7 everywhere we go. Because if we are in this artificial, system, everything is being watched. So we already don't have privacy. I think at this point, and I've proven to myself, I think that all my thoughts are known to them, whoever they are, whatever you want to call them, but they know my thoughts because they synchronize with me in the city when I go out to pop somebody in front of me and say whatever they want to say. It's like they're watching me and they obviously tell me, hey, you're being watched. Like you've been recorded. We know your thoughts. So it's like, I'm not sure if I'm chipped since who knows when. And but they definitely know my thoughts. I'm not sure if everybody else have been chipped, but we are inhaling nanotechnology on a daily basis from the chemtrails, from the TV. If people have a TV, from electronic devices, they are they are becoming part of us. We are all being tainted. Yeah, taking a shower or take a nice bath with salt. Epsom salt is really good. Walking barefoot, like I love walking barefoot. I'm not sure if you practicing barefoot walk in California.
I used to when I lived on the beach. I
Okay,
would walk barefoot everywhere,
nice.
and that was awesome.
Yeah.
But I almost felt it was like a different energy. That was like 2017, 2018. And now, like, I don't know if it's where I am on the grid, but like the energy, for a while, I was thinking that we were being like uploaded into like simulations, and like they kept on running like updates, but they were really like downgrades. Like each new sim that we're put into is like a little bit of a crappier copy than the one before.
Hmm.
Um, so like what I'm saying is I don't feel the same energy exchange from the earth like I used to.
Hmm.
Like before, I got a lot more out of meditating and connecting with the earth than I do now.
Right.
Um, but I think your life path kind of follows like different waves of where you should focus. Right now I'm focusing a lot, like you said, on the airwaves and my YouTube channel. So I'm more in the ether
Mhm,
than the
mhm.
earth.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I know there's a time coming, and it's coming really soon, where I think this whole Ethernet is going to get shut down and we're going to be in the earth, you know, like we're not going to have the option of being up here so much.
Yeah, they just installed the new LED light bulbs here in my town, and it's a very poor town. I mean, my country, if people not aware of Belarus, people make $300-400 a month, you know, as a salary. So it's a very poor country, and they still have enough money to install all brand new grid with these LED bulbs, which is shining bright, so bright it's hurting like a moon, silver moonlight. And I think somebody said this is a new light-fi internet. It's going to be light coming to the heads of the automatons, the robot toys, which is possibly will have not a mouse. So it's a robot that doesn't speak. You don't have to feed them. And they are getting us used to watching this kind of, you know, agenda of masks. So you don't see if it's a real human or if it's just an automaton doing its job.
Right.
So the technology that right now that is rolling right in front of our eyes, slowly but surely, it's a script. They have the script, they're running this, that and there's, for us, we can only do our best to stay healthy and remain human and remain organically human during these times.
Going back to what you said about feeling watched and monitored all the time, do you ever try to do something like totally off script or totally unpredictable? Like act like or say something totally like nobody would expect?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that ever like jars up the system? Or
some people they don't know how to react. They don't have a program how to react to it, so they almost always ignore, like I didn't say anything. I even feel like when you start being unpredictable, these robotoids, they get deletion in their brain, that like they will be like, this was not said, this didn't happen, so they almost like ignore you. And I think it's for good. Like they are so programmed by the system above that they cannot even catch something. So if you and I try to come up to some people and start waking them up right now, inside their head, the nanotechnology will delete our words of like, please save yourself, you're not a slave, wake up. It will be deleted automatically. Like they're completely slaves. They cannot be awakened. They've been eating crappy foods. They've been not exercising. They've been doing all sorts of damage, drinking, smoking, and doing all sorts of stuff that you cannot physically wake them up. So I think at this point, we are already separated and everybody took their position, either robotoid or humanoid. And that's it. I don't think at this point, there's not anything that we can do anymore. But I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm still trying.
Yeah, it's so hard because like, there's that little drive to be like, you have to fight, you have to save the people, you have to convince them like there's still a chance, like, you know, but then I really feel like this has happened before and it's just like we're letting it play out. My whole family has taken the potion,
right?
And even I have little sisters, and they have all gotten it.
Wow.
And you know, and I really fought against that. So it's like I could keep being like, don't get, you know, don't get more potions, you know, because that's coming up, you know. So we can stop them from getting more, But when I talk to my family and like, I want to, like, there's a voice saying like, don't even get tested, like, don't, just stop. But like you said, when you say these things, it's like they don't, it just goes whoop.
Yep.
They
Yep.
they just don't even acknowledge it.
Yep.
And so I just would rather have a pleasant conversation with them and keep that like umbilical line of love still connected, where they know I love them no matter what. Like
Right.
like I can keep the unconditional love open on my end of loving them. I don't know if they're capable still of unconditionally loving me,
That's a good
but
question.
that's okay. Yeah.
That's a good question, because you can love your cell phone as it's convenient, or love your car, it's love. You know, you love it car, it drives you from point A to point B. You love yourself and connects you to some people. But is it the same love to human organic beings, or even a cat and dog is something with a spirit within? You know, it's very good question. So I really enjoyed the conversation. Getting really long. I don't think people have enough time for such a long conversation. But maybe we'll do it again in the
Yeah,
future.
no, it's great.
So I will upload
Yeah,
this video on YouTube, and then you can copy it, of course, and put it on your channel. I'll put the link to your channel
great.
in the description. You are definitely awake, and keep on doing the best that you can to stay awake, to remain a human, to keep on shining, to keep on giving people love and joy. And yeah, I think it was a great conversation. We went into some interesting topics. Any last thoughts? Any
Yeah.
last things that you would like to say?
No, just thanks so much, Alexander. It was great having this chat with you and being on your channel. I'm glad that we can expand on this connection and hopefully give some other people that are on similar paths some helpful ideas. Please reach out to me if you have any questions, anybody that wants to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So have a happy new year. May you be surrounded by love in all its forms throughout the year and beyond. Stay protected, be safe, enjoy this reality, which is not the
Yeah.
reality, but nothing but the reality. And we'll speak again. It was such a pleasure. So
Okay.
so
Yeah.
stay
Have
online.
fun.
I'm just gonna press pause, and we'll
Okay.